Good morning, friends. This is from John chapter 14, verses 25 through 26. I have said these things to you while I am still with you. But the Advocate, the Holy Spirit, whom the Father will send in my name, will teach you everything and remind you of all that I have said to you. Here in the Gospel of John, we find Jesus discussing with his disciples the promise of the Holy Spirit, that the Advocate, the Holy Spirit, will be with them forever, even if he is not, and that this Advocate will abide with them and be within them. But what does it mean for the Holy Spirit to abide with them, to be within them, when the human Jesus is all they've come to know? Who is this Advocate and Holy Spirit? Jesus has mentioned the Holy Spirit a handful of times, but these disciples were not present during the baptism of Jesus. They have not experienced the Holy Spirit. So in verses 25 and 26, Jesus does tell them a little bit about who the Holy Spirit is and what the Holy Spirit aims to do. To teach them everything and remind them of all that Jesus has said to them. But interestingly, all throughout the Gospels, we've actually come to know Jesus, and the disciples especially have come to know Jesus, at least in one facet of his character, that Jesus is a teacher. And not only a teacher, but the teacher. So I imagine there had to have been some disciples who must have asked, or at least thought, Jesus, have you not taught us all that we need to know? In the Message translation of the Bible, Eugene Peterson actually writes, instead of the Holy Spirit will teach them everything, that the Holy Spirit will make everything plain to them. The Holy Spirit will make so clear all of Jesus' teachings that they are as plain as they to them and to us. And while I do agree with this idea, I don't know that I agree with Eugene Peterson's choice of the word plain here. Because the word plain comes with this idea of simple, easy, mundane, or even bland. And what happens to these disciples in the Pentecostal scene in Acts, when the Holy Spirit does move through them, we discover that none of what transforms for them is simple, easy, mundane, or bland. In fact, they're completely changed. Not only do we find out that the way that they share the news and their faith about Jesus completely transforms, but the way that they've been living their life completely changes. But it's actually not an unfamiliar way of living. In fact, it's the way of living that the disciples had already devoted themselves to living during their time with their teacher, Jesus. And so the Holy Spirit abiding with them and being within them transforms their lives to when they were with Jesus. In that same way, the Holy Spirit, the Advocate, is who advocates within us, for us, by drawing us nearer and nearer to the kind of healing, engaged, restorative, and compassionate faith life that Jesus had taught. And this, while it is everything that Jesus has taught us, is definitely not plain nor easy. It calls us to be open, to be transformed in the same ways that the disciples were in the presence of Jesus. Blessings, friends.